All right, good morning, everyone. Just tuning in. Hello, hello. Oh, there we go. I see you guys loading up now. Good morning. I never know if anyone that's an attendee can actually hear me because their audio takes a second to load on Zoom, right? So I feel like I'm always saying hello, and then I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Welcome, welcome. We got another business chat with you guys today. Doesn't this feel kind of weird only having one summer open house event today? I feel like I get so used to doing 2 or 3 lives with you guys Monday through Friday. So it's also very nice for you, Sarah, because you're literally the only person today. So that's good. You're not competing with 2 or 3 other people. Tiffany said, hello, Evan, Sarah. Yes, Tiffany, you know what? You just reminded me. Since we have a new speaker here that does not know where anyone's tuning in from, I would love to know if you guys would be so kind as to share where you're tuning in from and then credentials if you have any. Tiffany, I feel like you always share yours very kindly. Like it always seems to have emphasis and exclamation marks. So you always seem happy to share. So we appreciate that. I am in Bucks County, Pennsylvania myself, and not for long, baby, because my wife and I are doing 2 months in Italy, which is amazingly like $800 a month cheaper on rent than this area. So kind of nuts. Can't wait. Haley is from Texas, FDN student. Thank you, Haley. Gina, San Diego, FDN trainee as of yesterday. That's awesome. Welcome, Gina. I guess, Gina, correct me if I'm wrong. You probably took advantage of that fast action bonus. So that's awesome. Sarah is in Westminster, Colorado. Fantastic. Gina said, yes, sweet. Very cool. We're glad to have you. That's going to be fun to be on that workshop. I think I'll be there with Jen. I don't know if I'm not like teaching, but I'll definitely be there that day. So that'll be fun. Jacksonville Beach, Florida for Thomas. Hello. Tiffany said, so I should just know yours by now, Tiffany, right? Southern California, holistic health coach plus dental trainer, and as an FDN trainee. Oh, FDN trainee as of yesterday, too. Excited to be with you all. This is awesome. Okay. You're so awesome, Detective Ev. Thank you. I try to tell my bosses here that all the time. I hope they can see this. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Gina. Mariana said, just signed up also, Toronto, Canada. This is so cool. Don't you guys have a course to be getting to? No, I'm kidding, because you need to know this business stuff for after you graduate. So I would still use summer open house till its full advantage. We got Lisa in Sarasota, Florida. Oh my gosh, so beautiful down there. We have a DO practice, 30 years. Very cool. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Marie said South Carolina, holistic functional nutritionist and health coach. Awesome. We got Jacqueline in Asheville, North Carolina, MBHWC health coach. Very cool. Elizabeth's in Hillsboro, Oregon, FDN trainee and ITN grad. I got to know too. I haven't asked this yet. I haven't shared this side of me with you guys mostly because I'm embarrassed and we're 31 events in. So I figure I can finally share this part. Does anyone else love pickleball? Anyone else a pickleball player? Is that something that you guys are into? I've gotten very into that. I'm in a pickleball league and I didn't want to brag, but I wanted you guys to know that I'm in first place in my league. Now, I also wanted you to know that there's about 13 active players in the league, most of which are 35 years older than me, but I am first place as of last night. So, just wanted to throw that in. But I wanted to see where my pickleball players were because when we go to Italy, it's Washington State sport. It's awesome. Sarah, awesome. Very cool. When we go to Italy, I looked it up. And so we either have to take the train 30 minutes to Milan to play pickleball, which I have not ruled out in any sense yet, or I can temporarily get into I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's called padel, that other paddle sport. And there's padel courts 2 blocks away. So I'm like, all right, do I pick that up now? It's a little more. My dad seems to die a little bit every time I tell him I'm going to play pickleball. So padel seems a little bit more, athletic. All right, we're going to get into this. Glad to know that there's so many pickleball players here. Brenda hasn't played yet. Brenda, come on down to Doylestown before Maddie and I leave. We'll definitely show you guys. So what we're going to be doing today is getting into a pretty cool side of business, in my opinion. And it sounds funny to say that because if you're not a business nerd, you're like, what? Like copy and taglines and headers and hooks, that's a fun part of business. Yeah, because when you really understand the copy side of business or marketing side of business, you understand how much like psychology is behind all of this stuff. And I think all of us love psychology. Like literally everyone loves true crime documentaries. People love taking personality tests. Like even if we're not psychologists, we all love that. And so I always invite people to think about marketing, copy, and some of these business things as a study of psychology that you can actually apply to help other people make better decisions for their health. Excuse me, and as a result, make some money. I think that's a cool way to look at it, and I think that's accurate. So I will stop sharing my screen, and Sarah has produced some slide. There's definitely another word I'm looking for. I think provided was it. But she did produce some slides for us today. So she'll be doing a formal presentation. We're going to go for approximately 45 minutes, give or take. And then we will have an opening for questions afterwards. So don't worry about that. And I will read Sarah's bio here as she gets her slides pulled up. So, Sarah Cook is a copywriter, story brand certified guide, and former naturopathic doctor. She has been writing for the naturopathic and functional medicine community for 10 plus years and uniquely combines her passion for natural medicine with her skills as a copywriter to elevate the voices and messages of wellness entrepreneurs. I'm excited to hear about this because it's kind of cool to meet someone. We've had a lot of FDNs on, Sarah, that talk about the business side, but it's and
Yeah.
then we've had people talk about business that aren't in the health space at all, but they happen to have that as their niche. They might help health coaches. So it's really cool to know that you had this extremely well-educated background in natural medicine and have this marketing side too. So I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being a part of this. And as far as I'm concerned, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Evan, for the warm welcome and getting everybody chatting in the chat. I love to see where everyone is coming in from and have a little bit of sense of what type of practitioners here. So thank you. At the moment, I just want to make sure that I can find the chat now that I've gone into full screen because I want to definitely be able to engage with you all. Okay, cool. So we can have our chat open while we're talking. The other thing I want you to find is I think you probably have reaction buttons along the bottom of your screen. So we can use those as well. If you can find those, do me a favor, just tap whatever reaction you are relating to the most at this moment this morning, just so I can see you found maybe the thumbs up, the hearts, I don't know. Are people finding reaction buttons? No? Are they there, Evan?
Sorry, I was on
Do
mute.
they
I don't know that they are. They have emojis, I think. So if you guys, when you're chatting,
emojis? Do
yes,
they?
look at the little right. There's a smiley face, and you guys can get a variety of them there.
Okay, so we're just using chat. Okay, we're using chat. Okay, awesome, cool. So I'll be asking you all some questions as we go. And certainly you can pop questions into the chat as we go as well, but we'll have time at the end for questions too. So we're covering taglines, headers, and hooks. And this is really all about how to get yourself noticed in a distracted world. Real fast before we get in, I want to make sure that this is going to be a good talk for you and I don't waste anybody's time. So the way that I've designed this presentation is to really be perfect for you. If first of all, you are a health and wellness practitioner using online marketing to grow your practice. Now that one, just give me a wave in the chat. I'm guessing that one we're golden on. Probably most everyone here is in that position, right? The next two, you may relate to one or the other more so. So maybe you feel like the online space is crowded, right? You're trying to get noticed there, but you're struggling really to get traction. Or maybe you are getting some traction, but you're just really wanting to learn better formulas, frameworks, how to really optimize your copy, how to optimize your messaging, just so that you're more effective in getting your marketing out. So maybe if you would drop in the chat, give me a 1 if you're feeling more like the first one, right? You're feeling like struggling to get noticed, like you feel like maybe it's crowded in the health and wellness space. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're relating more to that. Or if you're relating more to the second one, where it's like, no, okay, you're getting some traction, you're getting noticed, but you're just wanting to learn more about optimizing your copy. How is everyone feeling relating more to one or the other? Oh, I gotta scroll down. That's my problem. Okay. Oh gosh, lots of ones. Okay, so we're getting people who are feeling like they're needing more help with getting noticed. Okay. So my biggest kind of message that I'm gonna get across to you today is that even if it does feel that way, like it can feel like it's crowded. It can feel like you're the best kept secret, right? You have a place in the online space. There is a place for you. And actually, I could say it's your responsibility to define what that space is, but really it's your privilege to. And it's really actually the exciting part of all of this is that you get to define what your space is. And we're going to get into, I'm going to kind of guide you through some of this. Well, how do you do that, right? But that's actually a really exciting piece of being who you are as a practitioner, running your own practice, you have so much freedom, so much flexibility to be you, to create who you want to be. And part of that comes through in your messaging, your copy, and how you grab people's attention. So stick with me here, okay? We're gonna really solve this problem. So just briefly, I mean, Evan has introduced me. I don't have to spend a lot of time here, but yes, I am a copywriter. I'm StoryBrand certified guide and former naturopathic doctor. Really, over the course of my writing for this naturopathic functional medicine community, initially I did a lot of work with supplement companies, writing for journals, writing blog articles, really intense long form copy type of stuff. But where I've really now found my sweet spot is working with practitioners on things like sales page, email campaigns, social media, all the places that you all are using to market and to reach your new clients. And that's just where my heart is. And I love working with the practitioners. And so that's why I'm just really so happy to be here talking about this with you today. So back to that question of, I said to you, you get to define what your space is, right? In the online marketing space. We're not going to spend a lot of time here because we are really going to get into these taglines, hooks, headers, formulas, all of this fun stuff. But this is really defining your space has to be a foundational thing that you do before getting into writing these really fun, exciting snippets of copy. And so raise your hand or kind of let me know in the chat if you've ever gone through, maybe it can feel like a belabored process of defining who's my ideal client, my ICA, right? My ideal client avatar. It can be like, I mean, I have seen workbooks, 20-page long workbooks on this, right? Tell me if you've done that before. You guys have, LOL, I know this group has. Okay. Thing is, like, that's a really, really great exercise. And I'm not against doing that, but and this slide alone, I've taught a 1 hour workshop on this slide alone. So kind of figuring out who is your best fit client, who is it that you want to serve. It is, it can be hard, but it is an important piece before getting in so that you know who you want to message to. But at the end of the day, like what I find is really the practical part to take away from an exercise like that is literally what I've put on this slide. And so there's just two things that you need to be super clear on to define where you live in this online space, where your messaging piece is. And so those two things are right here. Number one, who do you help, right? Yes, that's your ICA, but being able to not necessarily just, know who you help in those 20-page exercise, but being able to then condense that down into, say, 5 words or less. So for example, like literally just kind of defining, okay, women over 40, right? It's a very short snippet that if I'm a woman over 40, I know that's me, right? Or bringing it down to, for example, another example here, if you struggle with gut health, right? So maybe that is your niche, people who struggle with gut health, right? Or you can define it more on something they want, right? So if you want to feel more toned and fit, right? So if you can kind of take, oh, I know who it is I work with, but literally being able to say it in 5 words or less is going to be just gold for you, because those are things that you can actually put on right there on a reel on Instagram, right? And it will actually grab the right person's attention in just those short few words. So the one piece of defining your space, yes, is who it is that you help. And then the second piece is what makes you uniquely qualified to help them. And so that also is something that, sure, you may have kind of an entire story about this, right? But it's being able to take that and what are those 5 words that you use to say who you are so that people really just instantly can check that tick box in their mind as, oh, that's who can help me. And so sometimes this can literally just be with your credential, right? Maybe it's like, oh, I'm menopause certified practitioner. And then again, that checks that box like, oh, well, that's what I need, right? Or a second way, kind of an example I have here, maybe it's by really like your depth of experience, the number of people that you've helped or the number of years you've been in practice or something along like that is a number can be helpful. So for example, I've helped hundreds of people improve their gut health with functional nutrition, right? Or another way of doing this is if you have maybe a unique combination of skills, right? I'm a certified personal trainer and a functional medicine practitioner. Like if there's kind of a unique combination, that's kind of what you say on repeat. So the point I just want to make, just again briefly with this slide, because we're not doing a whole entire workshop here on your messaging. These are really just literally, if I were to choose two messaging points that you absolutely have to have solid before going in to any other sort of content that you're creating, these are the two. And again, to be able to just put them into those very short snippets. Who here has one of these? Let's say you have a who I help and you can say it in this little short, like 5 word or less phrase. Let me see some of these in the chat if you have that. Anyone brave? Not in 5 words or less. Well, okay, like a little bit longer. A sentence. And so we have women with anxiety who want to feel like themselves again. Yep, right. Busy professional women conquer burnout. Yeah, right. And the reason I say try to get a phrase like that that you can repeat is this will come in extremely handy, actually, for every single tagline headers and things we're going to be talking about today. But I mean, a really good example is if you just think about scrolling through social media. As people are scrolling through, and maybe they'll see some reels, and if a reel has, say, a text, right? Text on the reel at the beginning that says, like, if you're, what was this one I just saw here, right? Um, if you're a woman with anxiety, if it says it right there, and then it can continue whatever the reel is about, that in itself instantly is a hook to grab the correct people that you want to speak with. So that's why it's just really, really useful to, even if you have a longer version, to have a short version of this. Okay, women on a cancer journey, right? Like that's clear. Exhausted women get their oomph back. Awesome. Okay. And women with perimenopause, right? So these are great, right? These are just very short things where somebody would recognize, oh, that's who I am. Okay, cool. But we're going to move on. We're really going to get into a lot of the formulas and things. One thing that I just want to make sure that not to gloss over is that, if people will say, oh, yeah, we're, with taglines and with these hooks and things, it's kind of like it's a tactic, right? It's a tactic to grab attention. And so if someone were to ask me, like, well, what's the one like biggest, most important like copywriting tactic to get noticed? And I will say the most important thing to keep in mind is specificity, and that is the more specific that you can be in your attention grabbing copy, in any of your copy at all, is to be very specific. I'm going to keep coming back to this. I want to start and just show you an example of what I mean when I say to be specific and why it makes such a difference. So let's say you want to share a social media post on nutrition tips for hormone balance. Okay. That's kind of like the topic of your post you want to do, right? But if you just kind of like put the post up there that says nutrition tips for hormone balance, it's probably not going to grab a lot of attention. It's easy to gloss over because it doesn't have a specific thing to grab into someone's mind of like, why do I need that? How is that for me? Right. Whereas if we make it more specific, now it does. So here's just one possible way that this could be more specific would be think you might be in perimenopause, 3 foods to start eating now. Now, this is specific on a lot of levels. Like one, it's specific because, like I was saying in the last slide, you're calling out your ideal client is in perimenopause, right? They relate to that. And even in the second part, switching out from instead of saying nutrition tips, right? Because that's real vague. It doesn't paint a picture in my mind of what that is. But by saying 3 foods, okay, that's specific. Start eating now, that's very specific, right? That type of wording just instantly grabs attention much more just by making it more specific. So I'm gonna now don't worry, like I'm just kind of setting the stage here. I'm actually gonna give you like fill in the blank um, formulas and frameworks and things that you can use to do this. But actually, I want to just get your brain thinking in this way. So how about I'm gonna put one out there. I'm gonna give you a general. And then I just want you to think through how could I make this more specific? Okay. So how about if we want to do, say, a social media post on tips for eating more protein. Okay. No one's going to like read that, right? It's like boring. Tips for eating more protein. But now let's put it into context. And like I said, if you know you're who you help and who you are. So let's say you are a nutrition coach, you help busy moms who are tired, right? Well, it's important for them to get more protein, right? So how could you rephrase tips to eat more protein considering that context if that's who your ideal clients are? All I need is like 1 or 2 people. Just think of some idea of maybe how you could phrase it to be more specific. I'm looking
You're
at the
putting them on
chat.
the spot here.
I'm looking at the chat. I just want you to get your brain thinking like this. It's so different.
Hey guys, there's no wrong answer. Sarah seems like she doesn't bite. So
100% no, you're not going to get it wrong.
there we go.
Like,
Nice, Anita. Thank you.
mom, no time and need to feed your body fast. Yeah. 4 ways protein ups your energy. Love it, right? Like we're specific on we're going to give you 4 ways. And what you're doing is you're putting in the benefit, right? The outcome is up your energy. That's what they want, right? So, absolutely, you're definitely going to get more people reading 4 ways protein ups your energy than tips to eat more protein, right? Because you're getting into why it matters to them. So exactly, this is just kind of the thought process that we want to keep in mind. 3 protein-packed recipes for more energy. Yep, right now we're getting even more specific. They're gonna get recipes, like wow, amazing, right? And yeah, so now Sherry says, can't keep up with your kids, you may need more protein. I love this approach, right? Because you're actually starting with the problem that they can relate to. This is a really powerful way to grab attention is to lead with the problem that they know they have. So I love what you've done with that one, Sherry. These are absolutely where we are going with this. Need more strength. Yep, exactly. Like maybe that's something that they want. 3 protein tips. Yep. Awesome. I love it. You guys are rocking it. And I haven't even like gotten into anything yet. So, okay, cool. So we're going to move on. So essentially, when we're talking about grabbing attention with copy. All right. So fact is like people have extremely limited attention spans right now, right? And we could have the absolute best service, best program in the world. But if they don't get past the headline on the sales page, if they don't get past like the email subject line that's super boring, right? If they don't get past that whatever is like the text on the reel to actually get down into reading your caption. If they don't have that attention grab, they're never going to get to that next step of even understanding anything about who you are, what you offer, how you can help them. So attention grabbing copy is so important in all of these places I've listed here. I'm listing out 6 different types, okay? These are the places that are just some of the key places where we need to be grabbing attention to get people to come on in and read and learn about the next thing, right? So number 1 would be in the social media hooks. I feel like that's the one I've been referencing so far, because that one is just really the most obvious place where people are distracted. There's a lot of different things to look at. They can easily scroll past, right? Obviously, there has to be something to hook them in just to make them pause, look at what you're saying on the video, or go down and read your caption, right? So that's going to be a really critical place to be using. And in that case, we call them hooks on social media, something to hook people in, have them pause the scroll, right? Second category is going to be in your lead magnet titles and taglines. So actually, literally like what you call your lead magnet, or how you describe it in the tagline. Email subject lines, right? Again, I just mentioned that. Sales page headlines, that very first page at the top of if you're trying to get people to sign on for an online course or for a program, you've got a sales page. What's in that headline, right? To keep them actually on the page reading more. Number 5, the actually name and tagline of your program, right? So we're going to talk about names and taglines of lead magnets, but also say if you have a structured program that you bring people into, right? Naming it, that's a place to grab people's attention or lose them. And then lastly, I guess this is also an obvious place, but I just put it last because it's a homepage headline, right? So the very top line of your website is another place where people might land for the first time. It's their first impression. And so what are some important things to think about in that section? So these are 6 areas where we need to grab attention. And so what I'm really going to do for the bulk of this talk is go through them. And so we're going to go through each of them and just start to think about what's important for each. And I will be giving you all kinds of formulas, fill in the blank formulas, frameworks, things like that for you to follow for each of them. So we're gonna get into it if you guys are ready. It's gonna be a lot. We're gonna be starting on the social media hooks. I kind of put them in this order because to me, this is a logical way of actually where people experience you. They might first experience you on social, then they go to your lead magnet, then they're in your emails. So I'm kind of following that flow in case you're wondering why I put them in this order. And so for social media hooks, I've listed out kind of where are these? Where do these go? What are we talking about? So one place we can use social media hook is the actual text on a video. So this is if you're doing reels on Instagram, TikTok videos. Sorry, I keep referring to Instagram because that's the platform that I use most. It's the platform I mostly help my clients using. But same exact strategies go for YouTube shorts, go for TikToks, anything. I'm talking about short form videos. So when I say the text on the video, I guess even long form YouTube videos, right? You have to hook them at the beginning. But what I'm thinking of is like when on Instagram or Reel, the text on the video, that would be a hook. Next thing, or a text on design. If it's not a video, if it's just an image, or if it's a carousel post, it would be on the first slide, right? So the text on the design. And then the third place we use a hook on social media is in the caption itself, just the very first line of the caption. And so the idea here is that every step of the way, you're getting people, the hook is getting people to go into the next thing, right? So the hook on the video gets people to then look down into the hook in your caption, which gets people to read the rest of the caption. And so there's this concept I want to talk about called the open loop. That's actually what we're doing with all of this. So it's all about creating curiosity. Okay, so I put that hint on here. The open loop is about curiosity. But when I just say this, does this mean anything to anybody without me going in and explaining it? Like, if I just say to you, oh, you have to create curiosity with an open loop, do you have any clue what I'm talking about? Does anybody want to just put in the chat what you think I mean by this before I go into explaining it? Do you like have a guess of what I mean when I say this? No? Okay. That's cool. Then I'll explain it. Like a hole in a story, something that's missing and draws you in. Yeah. The carrot. Make them curious so they want to explore. Leave them hanging. Leave them hanging. It is that. Yeah, it is. Yep, you guys got it right. It is like leaving them hanging, dangling a carrot. Exactly. So the idea is that. Yeah, right. I just like to use the word open loop, but you're using the word leave them hanging. Same thing, right? You're creating kind of like this desire. So the open loop is like starting a story and not finishing it and leaving this opening that their brain is now like, I need to know what happens. I need to know the answer. I need to close that loop. It creates this curiosity where they are then essentially just compelled to do what you tell them to do to find out the answer or whatever it is, right? And so this is essentially what we're doing with any type of attention grabbing copy. We're creating an open loop. Um, and so, yes, you can do that. For example, you create one open loop on the reel itself, right? That says, oh, something about then like look at the caption, right? And then you create the next open loop with the hook of the caption that makes them want to read the rest of the caption. And then you create another open loop at the end of that caption that makes them want to go download your lead magnet, right? Then you create another open loop in the email subject line that makes them want to open the email. And then you create another open loop in the email that makes them want to go to your sales page. And then you make another open loop in the sales page that makes them want to book a call with you, right? Like every literal thing in copywriting is creating open loop after open loop after open loop after open loop. And it just makes them like the brain wants more. So that's what we're going to be doing. Cool. Really cool, huh? Okay. A cliffhanger. Exactly. There's a lot of different words we can use for this. I love that. Yes, it's the cliffhanger. It's like finishing the one chapter, like every good book does this, right? You're reading one chapter and the end of that chapter, there's a cliffhanger. And it's like, you gotta read the next chapter. And next thing you're up all night reading the book. Or a Netflix series, right? Sorry, I relate to reading the books, but same thing probably with Netflix series. Ends one episode, it's like, oh, I gotta go to the next episode. So yeah, this is used all over the place in life. Okay, so we're talking about social media hooks. Okay, real fast. Mistakes, biggest mistakes with social media hooks, and instead what to do. Okay, so one mistake is just being really generic. We've already touched on this. You want to be specific. Another mistake, speaking to many people versus speaking to one person. So the internet is actually a really personal space. When you're scrolling on social media, you're only one person, right? You're not in a big group. You feel like it should be one-to-one. When you're in your inbox and you're opening your emails, it's only you. It's not a crowd of people over your shoulder reading your emails, right? And so that the copy should always come across as I am speaking to one person, right? And so instead of we're talking about social media hooks, instead of kind of saying, hey guys, hey everyone, right? It's you. It's just you. Like I'm speaking to one person. Um, and then lastly, a mistake is only putting a hook in the caption, right? I think sometimes people are thinking like, oh, the hook is the copy, it's the caption. But yeah, like I've already been emphasizing a lot, you actually need to hook them there, right there in the image, the design, the reel. So you need to actually have a hook there to get them into the caption. So those are just some things to think about. So here's my first slide that really has kind of these plug and play formulas. Okay, I actually don't want you to worry about, I don't worry about screenshot or or typing out the notes or taking a photo like you could, but I can get you these slides at the end. And so I don't want you to be scrambling because this is actually this is like what you want. Like you're gonna want this later. You're for sure gonna want this later. And I have several slides like this that have the kind of fill in the blank things to get you started. So some social media hook prompts. So like we were saying, like start with something generic, 3 tips for blah blah blah, right? Like instead of saying something generic, we can do, for example, this was like, I think it was Sherry had said, right? Tired of a problem? Try this, right? That is a really great hook for social media because you're instantly tapping into, oh, I have this problem that I want to solve. How am I going to solve it, right? That is saying, calling out the problem that you're going to solve is one excellent way to create an open loop, right? So tired of the problem? Try this. And I have examples here in a second. 3 secrets to save you from the problem. Again, like touching on the problem is really, really useful. The third one here, instead of the usual solution, here's what I do. Okay, so this is another, again, we're all about creating curiosity. And so when you can position that, like what you're going to say is maybe different than what they always hear or what they think is true, that creates curiosity. Like, oh, like instead of counting my calories, like, what am I supposed to do? What else would I do? Right? It creates an open loop. Next one, like what I do for a success, right? So this is getting into that, like speaking one-to-one, like making it a personal thing. Like what I do. Oh, now I'm curious. What do you do? Right? To get a benefit that they want. Um, Last one here. When you stop some sort of usual solution and do this instead, right? Again, this is creating curiosity of like, wait, what's going to happen if I stop counting my calories, right? So those are just literally these, if you just use these 5 frameworks like again and again and again and just with different topics, you're probably going to get you will get a lot more attention, probably a lot better results on social media than doing the things that are like helpful tips for blah blah blah, right? So here's what I came up with of how to get you all the slides. I have what I'm going to do. Actually, this caption template has a bunch of hooks in it. This is my just general freebie on my website that you can get anytime. But what I did to make this easy on myself was that today, like right now, before I got on here, I added an email that will go when you get the caption template that will also give you the slides from today. Because I didn't want to set up a new landing page. I didn't want to set up a new form. I didn't want to set up a whole new automation. So anybody who gets the caption template from my website today, even if they weren't here, they're going to be like, oh, I got my presentation slides. That was easier on my end to set it up that way. So that's how you can get the presentation slides. You can get the caption for free from my website. And then, yes, it will automatically send you today's presentation slides because I do have a lot of those slides that have those formulas on there for you. So that's how we're doing it. But you have to do it today. Yeah.
Can I add one? Well, first of all, thank you for this. But and
Yeah.
I hate, I hope the audience knows this after this full month. There's nothing I hate more than interjecting into someone's presentation. The only reason I'm doing this is because like I think it's so important for them to get this because and guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Just put a yes if you understand what I'm about to say. It's like there's been so much emphasis this month on niching down and why it's important. One of the things that Sarah's talking about, have you connected yet why we've been saying this is important? Because this is just one of 100 examples of why it's important. She just talked about creating specific content like you're talking to one person. How can you talk to one person if you don't know who that niche is? That's why this stuff matters, right? So when you guys, some of you that joined FDN yesterday and you're going to get that workshop and stuff, you need to understand this is where this all connects. So Sarah's stuff, what she's teaching is amazing and it works better when you understand that niche, right? That's why she's specifying it as well. So I just hope that they connect all this together because this is just such a perfect, I don't even know if we did this intentionally. Maybe the schedulers were smarter than myself because your presentation right now could not be more perfect considering what we did the rest of the month. So I promise I'll shut up. I was just hoping that they took that away.
Thank you, Evan. 100%. I mean, taglines, hooks, and headers, like that's a little bit advanced. Like what I'm covering, it is a little bit advanced, and all of this, it is, it's going to work better, yes, if you know your niche. So I'm really happy to hear that you all work on that through your program as well. And then yes, it makes all of this come together. So I appreciate that. So yeah, like so for example, I think I will speed up a bit because I do want to get through all of those six. But right, this could come to what I've done here is just kind of taken those formulas and put it into examples of how that might come across, right? Like tired of dark circles under your eyes, try this. Three secrets to save you from bloating after every meal, right? These are the types of things that are going to grab attention. So I'm going to go ahead and move along because we've talked about the social media for a good second here. Okay, second is like how to name and then use taglines for lead magnets. Anybody not know what I mean when I say lead magnet? Let me know in the chat if I need to explain that. Lead magnet, like a free download that you give. Oh, that's what my caption template is. Okay, it's a lead magnet, right? It's just something free and valuable that you offer. And you collect an email address and then you can nurture them after that, right? So lead magnet, though, you want to have something that's compelling. And again, it's the same concept. You want to create an open loop that they're going to want it, right? Um, Sorry, real fast, I'm seeing this question in the chat. It says, in the last example, do you just say, do this instead to hook, or are you actually saying what to do in that line? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not understanding the question. I'm so sorry. We'll come back to the questions at the end. So just keep that in mind and circle back. Okay, so for lead magnet, so the places that this is going to come up, it might be on your website. You might have like a pop-up box that says, do you want this thing, right? So that would be a place where people would see title and tagline of your lead magnet and has to grab their attention. You might have an opt-in landing page. That's an actual individual standalone page where they can put in their information to get your lead magnet. That's the link I just gave you, my / caption, right? That's an opt-in landing page. You might have, this will come through in social media teasers, right? You might be sharing an informational post on social media, and then you'll say, oh, do you want really like more in depth about this? Here's my gut health checklist, right? So it's a title that you will drop as well, probably like on social media. Those are the places people will be seeing this, right? And so some of the mistakes specifically in titling a lead magnet that I see is making it too long. Okay. We want it to be short and sweet because it is something that, like the example I just gave, if you're saying it, say in a social media post, like grab my gut health checklist, you want it to be something that can roll off the tongue quickly. Or if it's a pop-up on your site, you want it to be something they can glance at quickly, right? So a shorter title is helpful. It can be a mistake to make it too descriptive. That's actually kind of along the same lines. Again, we want to create an open loop. And another mistake can be really just focusing on the features of what this is rather than benefits they can get from it. So I'll get into these, like showing you both title and tagline and kind of how those two can work together in presenting a lead magnet, right? So the easiest way to think about titling a lead magnet is these words I have at the bottom right here, container words. Oops. You want it to be a thing, right? So a thing, a guide, a toolkit, a booklet, a cheat sheet, a journal, a diary, a checklist, a planner, right? All of these are nouns. I call them container words. It describes what thing is it. It's a workbook. It's a blueprint, right? It's a toolkit. It's a thing. And so I like to use this for titling a lead magnet because it again, it just like makes it sound like you're getting something. Like, yes, it's a download, but it makes it feel like something of substance, I guess, when we use these words. And it solves that, keeping it short and easy to explain it, right? So, like a formula could be the successful outcome and then the container word. So the gut health, right? That's the successful outcome is gut health. And the container word is a checklist, right? Handbook, yes, thank you. Somebody asked in the question, what about handbook? Great, love it. Another formula you could use, like, 5 steps to, and then get that successful outcome, right? So 5 steps to better periods, right? Um, or another formula could use like the ideal client's guide to the successful outcome. So I love this because the more that we can plug in those little short snippets of who our ideal client is, that helps our marketing in the bigger picture because you make sure that it is the right people who are opting into your lead magnet, who are getting into your email list, who will be the right people for your services. And so as much as we can drop that in, it's really much better than, because for example, say, I don't know, I work with a lot of, say, a naturopathic doctor who's really into environmental medicine, right? And they have like they have a guide to um, non-toxic living, right? Like, but if you just say like it's a guide to non-toxic living versus like, oh, they really want to work with, say, I don't know, they really want to work with, just women in their 30s or something, right? Like being able to somehow fit that into the title, make sure the right people get in their email list, right? So again, we're getting back to how can we be more specific? So we do like the teens guide to clear skin, right? This would be they're going for teenagers in their skin. They're not going for, say, women with PCOS who want clear skin. They're going for teenagers. Okay, so that's the title. Keep it short and keep it a thing, right? Use a container word. And then you can use the tagline to fill out more detail about what it is they're getting, right? So this is where now we can do more of a longer phrase, right? This is where we can get into like, well, how to get a certain benefit. So for this first example, how to boost energy without coffee or sweets. So this is another, I'm only going to talk on this. I'm going to start going faster through my slides here, but I'm only going to mention this first formula for taglines because you can have the rest. But this first one I love using without, right? Because there is actually, and I don't have like the numerical statistics in my head, but people are actually much more likely to want to avoid something negative than they are to move towards something positive. And so we can use that in our copy, just with these short snippets, like without coffee and sweets. Well, they might be feeling like the only way I can get energy is coffee and sweets. I don't want to have to keep, I don't want to keep doing this, right? And so it's something that they can, if they, like I said, they want to avoid something. So you think about, well, what are the things that they want to avoid? Using the word without can be really a powerful thing, especially in taglines. It's a great place to use that. How to boost energy without coffee or sweets, right? So just kind of the big picture thought process on lead magnets is short title, and then you can explain a little bit more in the tagline. Probably both of those would appear on your landing page. Both of those would appear on, say, a pop-up box. But again, if you're just like encouraging people to get interested in downloading it, say from social media, the short title is easy to use that way. Okay, so lead magnets. Okay, so next one, email subject lines. Okay, this is so huge. So the places they're going to see this, right? Obviously, they're seeing in their inbox, but like the types of emails that you would be sending that are going to be important, right? First, they're going to see, say, if you deliver their lead magnet, there's going to be a subject line that you want to be at least clear that one's usually not a problem. People open that one, they know they're looking for it, right? They know they just requested this thing. So that one's easier to do. Literally, if you just say like, here's your guide. But then they'll be seeing these in, say, nurture sequences, any kind of email automations that you have, right? You want them, yeah, you need to have good subject lines for them to open. It might be a weekly newsletter that you send, or it might be a sales promotion. So these are all the different types of emails you might ultimately send for your business. Let me know in the chat, how many of you are sending, say, a weekly newsletter? for your practice? I know some of you are just like getting started and even just signing up for the FDM program. You're not at this point yet, so totally understandable. But so tell me if you have, okay, first, okay, how many people have an email list? Like you have something set up in MailChimp, ConvertKit, any of these email service providers. How many of you have like an email list that you can send emails to? It fell to the wayside, not yet. Okay. So maybe this is something to come. This is something I like as far as kind of getting your online marketing going, um, starting to grow an email list, number one top priority is what I would say. And I guess that starts with creating a lead magnet. So I'm glad we just talked about that a little bit. Haley says I'm doing monthly. Great. I love monthly. I love weekly, like anything that is really like a regular routine for you. And so that the people who are on your list to get used to hearing from you is amazing. I do have an email, but have not been sending newsletters. I used to monthly. Yeah. Yeah. And the reason, it's really great to just have kind of a consistency because then when you do say, oh, I really want, maybe you've just been seeing your clients one-on-one and now it's like, oh, you're interested, maybe I want to start a group program or whatever. You got to have people to sell it to. And that's what your email list is. And so it's just really great. Even if you don't know like what you're ultimately going to be doing with your email list, it's nice to grow an audience of the right people who are interested in what you're doing, and nurture them like with those weekly or with those monthly. Okay. So with subject lines, again, too long is a problem because what happens is, I mean, I'm sure if you're ever looking at your email, say on your phone, if it's a long subject line, it gets cut off. You don't see it. And to me, my eyes just like completely scan over it. Like if I can't even read the whole subject line, I just kind of bypass it, right? So technically there is the characters of like 60 characters or less is what's going to typically show. Um, a mistake is too much going on. I see this with ChatGPT generated email subject lines, and there's like a rocket and then a explosion and then like a long like unveil your potential with this blah blah blah, right? And it's like too much going on. And so I would advise like, yeah, I mean, I use emojis in my subject lines. It's fine and it's great like here and there. But just not too much going on and not too much caps lock. And so yeah, just kind of make sure there's not too much going on there in the subject line. And then another mistake is literally just telling the topic of the email instead of creating curiosity, right? So like just telling the topic would just be like, um, I don't know, like, well, I guess similar to what we were saying about the social post, like just telling the topic would be like, tips for eating more protein, right? That's just like boring, right? And so let's look at some prompts. Okay. So, if you don't want to like have to, go find my prompts and what was that formula, like just something to always keep in mind, like that will always work is using the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Um, why I never count calories. Any of these words create curiosity and create an open loop because they inherently like don't provide the answer, right? Who needs vitamin D testing? Like what you need to know about xylitol, like where to find the best. Like these words, they're automatic curiosity creators. So that's a really, really kind of just thing to keep in the back of your mind. If you don't want to be looking at a list of email subject prompts, just go with who, what, where, when, why, or how. Um, Another thing that gets people to open, and I see this all the time in mine, whenever I say something that's like new, like if I use the word new in a subject line, I get more opens. Like something that tells them like it's an update, it's the latest, like because people think, I don't want to miss. What's that? Like it again creates curiosity. So anything along the lines of new. Um, and then using the word you as well. This gets back to what I was saying. Online space is personal. It's between two people, you and the person opening that. And if they just feel like it's for them, right? You might need this. Like, you might want to know this. Did you know this? Like, this will change how you make dinner forever. Just using the word you um, can also it makes it more personable and more yeah, more likely they're going to open. So those are some fun ones for email subject lines. Let's see. Okay, we're almost there. We're on 4. Okay, cool. So sales page. Okay, I mean, this one's easy because I'm just going to give you the formula and you just keep it for when you're going to go do your sales page. But these would be on like if you're selling an online course, if you're selling, say, like a group program, say, it's like a 6-month program, maybe you have a membership for people to come in, like something that requires a sales page where yeah, like sales page. Anybody not know what a sales page is? Just making sure, because sometimes I just like expect that everyone's gonna know what I mean by a sales page. You're selling something, and so that headline is going to be the first thing that they see, right? Now, usually, I mean, thing about this is, and the reason that I'm going through these 6 categories, each one of them is different because um, they're coming into it with a different context. So chances are someone's looking at your sales page. They haven't just like Googled it and landed there. They're usually coming your sales page because they've already gotten some sort of information from you. They've maybe gotten an email from you that's prompting them to go look at the sales page, right? Or maybe you've been chatting with them on Instagram and then you've directed them to your sales page. But there's like something that got them there. So they're usually coming in with a bit of context, right? And now they're actually like on that sales page to learn about like what is this program about. And so this is really different type of attention grab than a hook on social media, right? It's not a totally cold audience. Even if it is a cold audience, even if it's like Facebook ads to a sales page, which is an option, um, even that, they've already got a little bit of context from reading the ad before they go into the sales page. So point being that it's actually like you have to achieve something a little bit different than just grab attention with this. With this, you actually have to achieve providing clarity as well. Okay, so clarity is starting to become really, really important on a sales page. So, for example, like it would be a mistake, and I see this all the time, just putting the name of the program up there. Instead, you're going to see I've got the formula for how you can write this out. But if you just put the name of the program, it doesn't give enough information usually for people to really then know, is this where I want to be? Do I really want to be a part of this? Do I want to know more? Another mistake would be overdoing it on pain points and benefits. So I see this, it's almost like trying too hard. And it's kind of this long string of like, oh, do you struggle with bloating and tiredness and exhaustion and burnout and you really want to have more energy and better sleep and no anxiety and it's like this long thing. And it's just overdoing, it's overkill. And so we want to actually like we really want to be clear. Okay, most important thing on a headline is to be clear rather than like flowery. And then another mistake is to not have a call to action. This is an easy thing I'll show you in my formula. It's going to include a call to action being essentially like a button to link through of how do you get this thing? Like either you go to the checkout page or you schedule a appointment or you schedule a call. Like what is their next step? So you actually want that to be in this headline section. Okay, here's your formula. Okay, and then I'll give you an example and this will all make sense. Um, but essentially, this is how I write every sales page headline. You have first who it's for. Now that can be, it can be almost any of those ways like I had on that very first slide. Like it could be a category of people, right? For every woman over 40, right? It could be touching on their pain point, right? If you struggle with gut health, right? For anyone struggling with gut health, it could be, I would usually lean towards one of those, either the category or the pain point, because this is the small thing, and then the outcome is going to be a positive. Um, that who it's for could be a positive, but then you might be heavy, heavy, heavy on the positive. So I've definitely put the positive in the big headline being the outcome, right? Um, and so it's going to be like, yeah, you struggle with gut health, then the outcome is like, how would you like to whatever the beneficial success is, right? And then the tagline, which actually I'm getting to next because we're going to be talking about how to name a program and write a tagline for it. The tagline is where you're going to really get clarity. What is this thing? What is this program? What is this page about? Okay. And then the call to action. So here's how it all comes together. All right. So if you're a parent of a picky eater, okay, that's who this is for, right? How would you like an endless supply of kid-approved nutritious recipes? Okay, that is the successful outcome. And then the Kids Food Club is a recipe membership for parents who want to serve healthy meals their families will actually eat. Okay, that's the tagline. That you might think like I don't know, a lot of people have different ways of defining what is a tagline. To me, I use a tagline to provide clarity rather than there's kind of this other concept of tagline that's just like eat fresh, feel healthy, right? Like, boom. That's a different type of tagline. That's not what I'm talking about. The type of tagline I'm talking about is actually like stating what is this program. Um, okay. So, and then the button I'm in. Okay, maybe that's too cute and clever. There's different ways you can put on the call to action, but I guess what would be more important is where does that button go? That button would probably go to a checkout to sign up if this is a membership. But if we take a look at this headline, like the reason that it's structured this way is that number one, it gets the correct people in. They know they're a parent of a picky eater or not, right? Number two, it automatically gives a benefit that they want, right? And number three, it's very clear. This is a membership, right? And this is the outcome that is supposed, this is what it's about. And so the idea being that someone should be able to actually just see this headline and be in, just like 100%. I mean, like if you're the right person for this, you're going to be like, I don't need to know anything more. Like, whatever this whole long page is, I don't care. Like, I'm in. Like, this is for me, right? That's the way a headline should work. So this is a little bit, like I said, this is really different than like an email subject line type of attention grab. This is really different than like a social media hook because you actually need to be very clear. You don't want someone on the headline of a sales page scratching their head and being like, what? Well, what? I don't know. Just click away, right? So clarity is really, really important on this. Let's see. Okay, so it's 10:30. I'm at an hour, but I can go through these last really quickly, and then I know we have until another half hour if anyone has some more questions. Is that okay, Evan, that I'm like
Everything in the chat has said that they're loving all this. So, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, Tiffany already said yes, please, beforehand. So, if you guys
okay?
want to finish out the slides, just throw a quick yes, and I will happily do that. And then we'll have some time for Q&A anyway. Okay,
Okay,
yep,
I'll
that
go
seems to be the
quickly.
answer.
The program name and the tagline for that, actually, I think we've touched on a lot of things that will make this go quickly. But, like I said, people will see this on the sales page. They might see this in email promotions. They might see this if you're talking about your program on social media, right? So again, it needs to feel like something that's easy to roll off your tongue, easy to say, similar to what I said about titling a lead magnet. You want it to be like a short title of your program and then a longer tagline to explain what it is. All right. I said mistakes I see are ChatGPT red flags. So that's like there's just some words if you've been playing with ChatGPT, you'll start to recognize. And like, I love ChatGPT as a tool, super helpful for getting ideas, super helpful for brainstorming out different wordings and things like that. And not against it, but you do just need to be aware that like, especially for titling something, because ChatGPT will tend to use like unveil, like long, I don't know. Now I'm not like thinking of them all. I kind of have a list of the red flag words. But you'll recognize. And so, you want it to feel like natural and feel really good and be like the feel of what your program is. Um, you don't want to overpromise. And you don't want it to be confusing, right? Clarity is really, really key when we're talking about naming a program and then using a tagline to kind of just describe it. So here's a few formulas that you can use for naming, right? So yeah, it's really similar to how I was talking about naming a lead magnet, right? The ideal client and then the container word, right? Do I have a list of container words on this slide? I don't. Container words will be different for a program than for a lead magnet. They're going to be more like program, right? Boot camp, collective, membership, society, um, um, what else? I don't know. But it's going to be like something that, thank you. Thank you, Brenda, dropping in the chat some of the things that I just rolled off. But it's going to be something that this is a what? This is a membership, right? Or this is a program. This is a group program, right? That's what I mean by a container word. What is it? So the paleo athlete, right? That's who the ideal client is. Collective. That's probably a membership if it's like a collective, right? A boot camp would be a container word, right? The successful outcome, the thyroid success boot camp. So again, you're trying to keep this really short. Or you can literally just name the program, like what's the successful outcome, right? Energy boost, right? Like, I mean, the name doesn't have to really explain what it is as much. It's best if it is something that's like easy to say, because again, like the tagline can explain what it is. Um, like I have a short like online course that's called Message You, right? And it's just like that's the beneficial outcome. You learn how to message you, right? And then you can explain what it is in the tagline. So the tagline is what I've already kind of shown you when we talked about the sales page, but it's like, what is it? 12-week group program. Who's it for? For women who want what? They want to take control of their thyroid. Without what? Without endless doctor visits, right? So this is like the perfect formula for a tagline. The thing I'll say about formulas is that follow it. Like it's formulas are an amazing place to get you started. But then if it just doesn't feel right, just like move the words around and change it till it feels right. But I love starting with a formula because at least then, you're on the right track and it's usually easier to get some ideas on paper. And I would just say, like, don't feel confined. Like, if it sounds better, wording it a little bit different than the formula, great. But formulas are just a really, really amazing place to get you past that blank page. And then lastly, homepage. So this is on your website, right? This could be something people just like come across on Google, right? So it actually could be not like a sales page where I was saying before, but this could actually really be first impression. Um, Again, clarity is key here, okay? Because you gotta keep them on your site. They gotta know they're in the right place. You're for them, who you are, right? Similar to what I said about sales page, was like really just clarity is so important on this one. So here's some ideas. And again, like there's a million different ways you can write a homepage headline. Absolutely not a right or a wrong way. But these are some ideas, right? So one thing you can do is like, because you deserve, and then whatever kind of benefit you offer, right? Because you deserve answers for your health, right? Um, and then I would say, similar to how I talked about sales page, you'd probably want some smaller text under these that is essentially describing who you are or what your practice is, right? So following really that tagline formula, but for your overall practice. So you'd have this kind of as the attention grab, and then you'd have like that tagline saying, I am a holistic nutritionist helping so and so get the benefit, right? So these would be that attention grab headline part. Second idea here is like making a successful outcome simple, right? Making better sleep simple. If like that's really the focus of what you're doing. Or a third example here, ideal clients come to me for whatever your service. This is what my website says now. I feel like it's just so clean and easy. It's like health practitioners come to me for copywriting. Like, right? It's like that is so just clear, right? Tired moms come to me for data-driven nutrition plans. So I'm liking that formula nowadays, but like honestly, like I said, like there's no right or wrong, and there's certainly many other ways you can write the headline for your homepage. And then I did make a note here, right? You'd probably want to have some smaller text under that, actually explaining like who you are. Okay. Well, bottom line, yeah, clarity wins for sure. These are just kind of the takeaways that I want to hopefully get across, hopefully has come across. Yes, even if the online space can feel crowded, yes, even if you feel like a best kept secret, there is a place for you. The best part is you get to define what that place is. This is really kind of the takeaways, right? Kind of how do you do that? Like one, you define your space, which I'm so happy Evan is saying, like you're doing a lot of work on that through the FDM program and in some of the other workshops. So defining your space, getting really specific with your copy, and just always keeping in mind you're just wanting to create curiosity to get to the next step, right? You got this. Those are my takeaways. And so I think, yeah, we still have some time for questions. This is where you can reach me. That's my Instagram handle, Sarah Cook Wellness Writer, and then my website. And I just want to remind you, if you do want the slides, they're automatically sending right now when you get the caption template from my website, which is this wellnesswriter.com/caption. So I think that'll work because we're only doing this as a live presentation. So I was able to just set that up for today, and I'm just going to turn that automation off tonight. So it will only be right now, pretty much.
Cool. Sarah, thank you so much, guys. Let's get into questions. We've got 19 minutes left. And so just so you guys know, I haven't said this all month. I don't know how. Quick announcements before we get into the Q&A. So one, if you guys like tuning into these live events, we have the Health Detective podcast. That's what I normally do here at FDN, and I host that 3 times a week on average. We always release 3 times a week on audio, but sometimes it's more or less on the video side. So we'll actually be doing that at 1:15 EST. So just about 30 something minutes from now, we'll be live on the podcast. So subscribe to us on YouTube and you'll get notifications for that. Number 2, on 2 o'clock EST, or on 2 o'clock EST, right? How about this? On Friday, the 28th, which is next week at 2 o'clock EST, we have our keynote presentation of the month. And I just want you to think about how good Sarah's was, how good all the other speakers were. So we're obviously prepping our keynoter to be like, all right, you got to come in hot for this one. And she is going to be doing that. We've already seen the slides. The presentation is absolutely amazing. We're also going to be giving away 4 advanced courses for free on that live event, just for showing up. All you'll have to do is participate, simple as like saying yes to a question, and we will make sure that 4 of you guys and gals win the advanced courses. So make sure that's in your calendar. I cannot wait for that. It's with the founder of our business school, the person who created the FDN Business School. So awesome. Thank you for that and working with me here. Let us go. Where do we go on YouTube, Ev? The Health Detective. Search for here. I'll drop a link below. Brenda, if you're back, if you can help me with that, that'd be great. And if not, I will figure it out in just a second. Okay, let's get into the stuff here. Sarah said, what program do you use to make your website and landing pages and opt-ins?
Oh, well, me personally, I use Kajabi, not necessarily like the perfect thing for health practitioner clinicians. Like there's a lot of great platforms. I don't know. Yeah, for FDN, do you guys recommend a platform at all for your practitioners?
There's a variety of places that our practitioners go, but we're lucky enough to have the husband of someone who is a very big FDN. She's actually the one that got me in 7, 8 years ago. Created a platform originally for FDNs. It's now used by doctors as well. So it's called Biocanic. So yes, we do obviously recommend
Yeah.
that just because it's the one that we have the most access to in terms of like, can you add this feature? And they say yes.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of platforms that are really specifically for health practitioners. So I think that's great. I use Kajabi just because I have a membership area and digital products. And so it's kind of all in one.
Mhm. Cool, thank you. And then, yeah, so I dropped the YouTube link below, guys. Remember, we have an insane amount of replays going on this weekend since you guys asked until the point that my team yelled at me for saying yes to all of them. So we have some replays going out. They'll all be on YouTube. And so that's a good way to catch all of them. Anita said, thank you, Sarah. You are fabulous. Sounds like a Canadian accent. Maybe I picked that up too. Is that correct?
No, but I have a
Oh,
lot of Canadian clients.
oh my gosh, that's
Maybe
so funny.
I'm just
Okay, I thought
picking it up from them. Oh my
that's
God. I grew
hilarious.
up in the Midwest and I live in Colorado now.
Okay, wow,
I grew
that
up
threw
in
me off too, Anita.
Ohio.
Elizabeth Crowley asked, I guess it's a pretty astute question, it seems. Do you subscribe to the 2 font styles max and 4 brand type colors in general? I guguess that's a rule for this type of stuff.
Interesting. Okay, well, to be honest, design is a little bit out of my scope. I'm like really specific on the copy and content, although 100% they work hand in hand and they work together. Although I definitely like to partner with designers rather than be the design expert. So I just feel like I probably shouldn't answer your question, but it sounds right.
Okay. I think too, other than the end when you talked about your website and then the captions thing with that, which I appreciate, but I'd like to give you the floor for a second. Like, can you talk about what type of person would work with you at a higher level and then like where at would they need to be in their journey? Like some are just starting the FDN course. I don't know if that's too early or a good time. So, I mean, please feel free, give us the full thing of what you do and what you offer.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I have essentially three categories of offers. My most popular is my content membership because that it's primarily functional medicine content for social media and email newsletters. And that is, and you can get into that, I would say, at any point, like as a brand new practitioner, because if you're wanting to show up with that nurture content, that's just a big pain point of creating it all. And so it's functional medicine themed topics and getting a bundle of content every month. It's a membership, so everyone gets the same content, but then you personalize it for yourself. So that's Nurture Unleashed. That's my membership, I would say, is like entry point for a lot of people. I have copywriting templates. So like we were talking about, you saw like the sales page headline formula, for example, the templates. I just sell templates that you would get like whole entire template, say for the whole entire sales page with formulas like that. In my templates, I got a lot of like email, various email sequence type of templates and a variety of things. And then my one-on-one, I work in copywriting VIP days, and those are probably a bit usually. I mean, I work with people at any stage. Like I definitely work with practitioners who are just. I had a FDN practitioner, got her set up like writing all of her website copy for her brand new website when she got her certification through you guys.
Nice.
So that's something I can do in a copywriting VIP day. Although I mean, that I can just really customize to what anybody needs if they're at more advanced stage and they're wanting to set up sales funnel to sell their program, right? Then I use the copywriting VIP day to help with writing all of that, email promotions and sales copy and all that fun stuff.
Very cool. Thank you. Shani had asked before, I'm just going back to some questions that we might have not got to, obviously, 20 or 30 minutes ago.
Please, yeah.
So she had asked, what if we tried blogs and report a new post is up with link and email? Do customers even read blogs anymore? I feel like everything is social media.
Great question. So blogs in my mind are the best, like the biggest benefit of having a blog is actually to improve the SEO of your website so that actually more people will come from just a Google search. They will discover your site, they'll come to your blog. That's the entry point then to your website. And then from your blog, hopefully from there, they're either going to choose to opt into your lead magnet from your blog, if you have like an opt-in form on your blog, or they'll be there on your site and they'll look around your site. So it's more of like, rather than like, I like to use a blog as like, that's where people are coming. And then they're then they're really getting into your funnels or seeing your services on your website. Whereas like you're talking about sending a blog out to really who's already currently in your audience, currently on your email list, that yes, you can do that. But I guess like to me, that's a secondary benefit of having a blog. Like, yes, it provides valuable content to share with your current audience. So that's like the secondary value, but the main value of the blog is improving the SEO of your site. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Okay. There's so many thank yous throughout the presentation. This is great. Let me just go back to the bottom, see what people got. There's actually some nice comments here. So Jacqueline said, we have been using Sarah's content for the last year now at it asks Ithaca. I'm sorry, Naturopathic Clinic, and it's a lifesaver for sure. That's awesome, Jacqueline. Elizabeth said, I can attest Sarah's stuff works. Even when I don't have time, I still find myself opening and reading her emails. Isn't that funny how that works? Naomi said, I've signed up for Sarah's
Okay.
membership and there is so much valuable content. Her work is incredible. This is cool. You got a whole fan base here. All right.
I put them up to it. No, actually, I didn't. Appreciate it,
Making
guys. Yeah, that's super nice.
okay. A lot of these are like comments
Can
and
you go
thank
back
yous.
to my
So
question way up there?
thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yes. M did ask something before, and we're working on it. Are you scrolling back or you want me to try to find this too? Or are we
I
both
am
trying?
scrolling back. I'm looking. I'm
Thank you. I'll stall for a second. How can I stall? All right. So on Monday, we're
You're
gonna
so
probably
good at that.
yes, I got you. I got you.
I
So
don't know.
we got a bunch
Can
of
you just ask again? Honestly, I'm not sure where that question
it's
is.
yeah, it's buried. I thanks, Em. Well, Tiffany asked in the meantime, is your VIP day one-on-one? I think you said that was.
Yeah, that's my one-on-one service. Um,
That is far up. There's so much. Um, Em, let us know. What do you got? So, yes, we have a bunch of replays this weekend. Monday we'll be back. I will not be with you for the 10:30 a.m. EST one, but I'll be back at 1 EST. So we have 10:30 and 1 on Monday. That's my stalling. Hopefully Em has something to. I think Em's scrolling back to find her question.
question. In the last example, did you just say do this instead to hook? Or are you actually saying what to do in the line? Okay. Actually writing do this instead to keep it open loop, or are you writing what they're supposed to do instead in that line? Both, either or. I think, yeah, depending on the context, this could work both ways. Yep. So you could say, yeah, you could literally just say, instead of counting calories, do this. And then you answer it in the caption, right? Or on the reel, you could actually put the answer and then just describe in more detail in the caption. So you could say, yes, instead of counting calories, what do you say? What's the answer? You can actually say what you do. Instead of counting calories, like eat the rainbow, right? And then, yes, and then you can describe in more detail what you mean in the caption. So I think, yes, depending on the context, both of those options can work. Probably creates more curiosity if you literally say, do this, and then like point to the caption. But yes, both ways can work.
I have a question. I wanted to know what do you think is maybe the best piece of copywriting advice that you've received or learned?
Oh, well, I mean, I can take the easy route and answer what I already said in my presentation is that like you got to be specific. But like, okay, so you're saying the best just copywriting advice.
Well, and I
Uh,
can here's my example because you actually made me think of something. I was hoping I had the book right next to me so I could look cool, and I'm able to do that. So there's this book, Copywriting Secrets, and I'm no copywriting expert, certainly nothing on your level, but I like studying business stuff. And he said this in here, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. He said the point of every line of copy is to sell the next line of copy. That's how he worded it, and it helped me. And you said something very similar,
Yeah,
right, with that open loop
exactly. Open
curiosity.
loop to open loop to open
Yes,
loop to open
yes.
loop. Totally. Yep. Yeah, 100%. I will also say like um I've gone through all the story brand training with Donald Miller,
Mhm.
and I will say like that was really also just dramatically helpful in terms of kind of wrapping my head around copywriting. And I think, well, I mean, some of those things came through in my presentation today. Like, you have to always be solving problems. Like, if you keep talking about your customers' problems, um, that it does all these things. It hooks them in, it lets them know that you can help. It creates open loops. Like, so I think that, if we're going to pull like a snippet of a copywriting tip, right? I think that's also a really good one, is that keep talking about your customers' problems.
Yeah.
And
Michael had
that's
asked.
really like heavy in story brand.
Okay. Well, I'll actually go to Michael. I got you, but I'm going to yours first just because it's an easy answer. So she said, "What is story branding?" Though it is this brand with this guy Donald Miller. We actually used some of their stuff at FDN at one point, probably about 3-4 years ago. So it's great stuff. The books are awesome. The templates are great. Like, I mean, if you just even do that, that's really useful as well. Michael asked for you, my friend, your thoughts on using headline analyzer tools.
Yeah, a lot of people like them. Never I've never, I haven't used them enough to find them helpful, to be honest. Like when I have tried, it kind of sends me down a rabbit hole. And so to me, it works better to have a formula, right? And in fact, what I would prefer to do is take my formula, put that into Chat GPT and get a bunch of ideas, say like follow this formula, right? Because like the formula we know works and it helps Chat GPT stay on track instead of going something big, long, and flowery. So I guess personally, I would prefer combining, say, a formula or framework and Chat GPT. I mean, you can always go plug it into the headline analyzer, but like I have not found value in that. So
Still a few minutes. Tiffany, this is a great question, Tiffany, because I know you put like a ha at the end of it, so maybe you're half joking, but I think this is actually really interesting. She said, "How many open loops before you annoy someone?" And here's how I would
oh
frame
yeah.
this too. It's like, well, obviously one line of copy, generally speaking, is probably not enough. I mean, it's interesting, but you wouldn't just do one line, but also we wouldn't say do a million lines. So like, where is that sweet spot, and how do you figure out how many to get to before like, hey, asking for them to do something. I want you to download this. I want you to buy this. Where does that line get drawn?
I love this question. I am so happy you brought it up because I don't want to give the wrong impression, right? Like you're not just dangling carrots all the time. That's actually spammy and gross and wrong, right? So you do have to close your loops at some point. And so, in fact, I guess a better way probably to describe is open a loop, close a loop, open another loop. That's probably a much better way to think about it.
Hmm.
So we would open a loop in the reel itself. We would close that loop in the caption. Like if you're saying instead of counting calories, do this, in your caption, you explain what to do instead. You close that loop. Then you open another loop by saying, this is one of the strategies for easy weight loss. I have 10 more in my guide. So that creates the next open loop, right? Then they get the guide, they get those 10 more, they close the loop. So you need to follow through on your promises. And same with a email subject line. If your email subject line is like, what you need to know, what you need to know about PCOS, well, the email actually does provide them with what they need to know about PCOS, right? But then it might also open a next loop saying, hey, I just opened this program for women with PCOS. Go learn about that. Okay. So, right. We got to be like honest to our word here and follow
Yes.
through.
Well,
Yeah.
and so what I've done this the entire summer open house. So I hope these guys appreciate this. It's like we don't hold secrets about our sales or marketing process at FDN. I literally have told them a million times because we've all brought up, most speakers have brought up the idea of like leading with value first, right? It's like, what do you think summer open house is? Why do you think we have this for free for you guys, right? We give value to the speakers by having 100 people on for them, right? They love a live audience. That's fun. We give value to you by having these amazing speakers on, and then that brings you into the world of FDN. It's not a secret. So even in terms of the open close thing, what is summer open house? It's, hey, here are the events this weekend. Hey, you like this one? Hey, here are the events next time. And then eventually it's, well, hey, if you want to do more, here's the FDN course. So that's not a secret. It's a good thing if you're delivering on the value. You should do that. We got 2 minutes left. Michael Years was next. What would you consider too short a length of an ebook lead magnet? And how many pages would you consider a more ideal length? I think it would probably have to be in words rather than pages. Um, yes. So do you know anything about that?
For an ebook? Okay, well, people use the word ebook to mean different things. And so an ebook, I guess, like, I, to me, an ebook does mean something longer, but a lead magnet in and of itself does, like, a lead magnet itself can be as short as one page. Again, as long as you're delivering what it is that you promised. If it's literally like a checklist to put on your fridge to remind you of the 10 things that you need to do every day, like for your gut health, whatever, it can be one page and they just want that checklist to stick on their fridge because it's cool to have, right? Then it can be one page. But yeah, ebook style to me thinks that it is a lot more in depth. And so there's really I don't think there's a specified length that it needs to be or not need to be. I mean, it could be as it could be huge.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's really not a right or a wrong on length, I would say.
One page is another way to say this. One page of great value is better than 1,000 pages of a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Just wondering. I'm just like, it's a good way to remember it. Devin said, will the replay of this one be on the FDN YouTube channel? So Devin, before I get in trouble with my team, I do agree that this was awesome. And I think a replay's due. We genuinely cannot do another one this weekend, but what we can do is the following weekend. I think we can add that in as a replay. And Brenda is on. Okay, Brenda said yes next weekend. Okay, so next weekend we will get you guys. We're loaded up this weekend. We will happily replay it. Sarah, that doesn't mean that you have to be on. Don't worry. It just means we'll replay it on our YouTube. So you'll get an
Whew.
additional audience there, which is great. And they'll get to see the same stuff. So we are at the hour. I got to go live in 15 minutes. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys could just drop a thank you for Sarah in the chat. I know you guys have done that like the whole time, but still, it always feels
You
good
all
as a
are such
speaker.
a lovely group. Thank you for
Yes.
having me, Evan. I really appreciate it.
These guys and gals are great. Yeah, if you want to check out the podcast for the first time, hop on with me. I just dropped it below youtube.com at FDN training. And we're going to be talking. I forget who I'm even talking to. They just schedule this stuff for me. I show up and I try to say something half useful. So, Sarah, we appreciate you. And I'll have the team let you know when our replay is going to be if you want to use that for your audience at all, because that will be public.
Great. Wonderful.
All right, you guys have a
Appreciate
great weekend.
it. Thanks,
And we'll
guys.
see you on
Bye.
Monday at 10:30 EST. Someone else will see you, and then I'll see you at 1 EST. You guys have a great weekend.